Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. Now, this is my 2 cents on Earl Spence, right? Look, we know he lost the fight to Terrence Crawford. Now, I have more videos to come, but to talk about different things, because Earl Spence plans on rematching Terrence Crawford. But let me tell y'all something. When you see this man out here breezing on vacation in Spain, right? And people are out here like shocked that Earl Spence is still pushing and moving up the ladder and not reversing. Some fans even angry that Earl Spence is out here having fun. Now, it's absolutely mind-blowing that people want to shame Earl Spence for not becoming depressed, not barricading himself in a room, to not be going downward in an emotional spiral. I think we all should be glad to see this man out and about and still on vacation with his, girlfriend, fiance, whatever she is to him. We should be happy to see that, because I'm going to be honest with you. I was very worried about Earl Spence and the way that fight went. But to see him out chilling, I think that's great. But when you go and you listen to the things people are saying, one person talking about, oh man, you see, there was nothing wrong with Earl Spence. He threw that fight. Because if he was so hurt, there's no way in the world, and he really cared about his boxing career, there's no way in the world he'd be out in Spain chilling. And when I hear when I read these comments and I hear people make these statements, you know what I gotta do, in the most respectful way, is a kindly request that they hold their horses and not take it to the stupid. Now, what I will say, right, is in my opinion, out of all the fighters, the elite fighters across all weight divisions, Earl Spence is probably one of the most who conducts himself, I would say, as a class act. He's never really caught up in a lot of drama. He always seems to be pretty respectful. But nothing for me to sit there and see him out enjoying, himself after, obviously it was a hard training camp, cutting weight, an extremely hard fight with Terrence Crawford. I think Earl Spence deserves to take a break. I don't think for 1 second that the secret society had anything to do with Earl Spence losing to Terrence Crawford. I think Earl Spence kept his word, and because his word means so much to him, I think ultimately that's what caused him to lose that fight. Now, what I mean by that is he went. Let me tell you something. A lot of people were advising Earl Spence to not fight Terrence Crawford. Money and the A side and all that had something to do with it. But a lot of it was because they just felt Terrence Crawford was a risk. And it's almost like, look, you don't need him. I'm going to point this out. You got to look at the day and age that we're in and understand the relationship that Earl Spence has with Al Heyman, with Watson, with Floyd, Ellerby, and the whole PBC leadership team, right? They're not necessarily about titles, undisputed distinctions. that's important. But when you get to the point where Earl Spence had reached, having 3 of the 4 belts, right? Push for undisputed against a guy like Terrence Crawford and make, great money, but run the risk of losing because you don't even want to get down to 140. You can't. You shouldn't even be at 147. Or come out here and fight. Go up to 154 or fight at 147 against some guys who are not much of a threat, and make your 15 to 18, 20 million, and keep plugging along. Earl Spence chose to go against what he was being advised, and said, "Nope, I promised the fans, I'm gonna go after all the belts. I'm here now." And although getting down to 147 is a struggle, I'm going to still make this fight with Terrence Crawford. Let me tell you something, man. That's to be commended. But I think ultimately that's what contributed to Earl Spence getting beat down. Okay? I already felt a healthy Earl Spence, an Earl Spence who wasn't weight drained. It would not have mattered. Just when you look at the styles, Terrence Crawford is going to beat him no matter what. No matter how many times they fight, Terrence Crawford beats him. Especially when Terrence Crawford fights in a southpaw stance and he's leading off with his power hand. He's countering with his power hand, and he's just doing everything with that right hand. And Earl Spence and his team haven't figured it out. And this is something I want to point out to people. Crawford is right-handed, but damn it, let me tell you, he's a southpaw fighter. And for those of you who say that's impossible, I'm going to tell you. I don't talk a lot about myself, but I'll tell you, I remember when I first started boxing, I was never comfortable standing in an orthodox position. And I'm right-handed. Throwing the left jab, the hook, the uppercut. I mean, I don't know, man. I just didn't feel comfortable from that position, man. So when I got into the southpaw stance, I don't know. I just felt good. I mean, throwing my jab, my hook, left uppercut, right uppercut. I mean, everything felt good, and I was, both of my hands were strong, but I just felt more comfortable from the southpaw stance. I don't know why. Some people are more comfortable from the orthodox stance as right-handed fighters, and I get it, but I just wasn't for me. And I've never attempted to switch stances and then catch somebody with a backhand right. Never. And when you watch Terrence Crawford fight, I don't care what anyone says. Boots intercept, he pointed it out. I pointed it out a couple of days before Boots did. But it's funny that he said it because I was commenting on the same thing. Terrence Crawford really he's a southpaw. He ain't no orthodox fighter. Okay? And for Earl Spence, he's going to always struggle fighting Crawford, who's leading with his power hand, because, Derrick James, I tell you what, he was telling Earl Spence some good stuff, like don't stand right in front of Crawford, but he didn't figure out, like, look, you got to take his right hand away from him. You watch David Benavidez when he fought Caleb Plant. He took that left hand from Caleb Plant. Because remember, Caleb Plant's left-handed, but he fights orthodox, so he leads with all of his power. But David Benavidez, he early rounds was Plant, but he was able to take that away from him. And in order to beat Crawford, you got to do that. But for people out here watching Spence and saying, hey, this is a foul on him, that's crazy. That's crazy. What's he supposed to do? Be at Dallas in his ranch, up in the chicken coop, like Smokey from Next Friday? That's crazy to me, man. Y'all got to understand, Earl Spence cheated death, man. His kids could have grown up without him. So to lose a boxing match, the fans are more affected than Earl Spence. Plus, it doesn't hurt that this man got paid at minimum $30 million for that fight against Crawford. Remember, Adrian Broner spilled the beans on how PBC and Al Heyman does business. You understand? Al Heyman, as far as the check, your check may say 30 million, but there's a few more million on top of that that just goes under the table. Al Heyman has a way he does business, the way he's constructed his pay model. And Adrian Broner talked a little bit too much in my opinion, but I do believe Crawford and Spence both got a lot more than what's being reported. All right? So at the end of the day, my boy Spence cashed in. He's chilling. Him and Crawford made a mega deal. And look, the rematch is going to be underway. I have a strong feeling it's going to be at 154. I can't see it being at 147. Because remember, even Crawford, my understanding, struggled to get down to 147. But I'm telling you what, from the way it looks, he's got those glasses on, so whenever he's in that mirror, he's reminded of the beatdown that took place when he faced Crawford. But I'll say this: you can't leave your mind behind, and we can look at this picture and make assumptions. But I'm gonna tell you this from experience: when you have things on your mind, it doesn't matter where you go in the world, doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account. Let me tell you something. If mentally you're not healthy, you're going to be unhealthy mentally, no matter where you are. Doesn't matter where you go. Doesn't matter who you're around. Having people around, being in fun spots, that takes up a little bit of the time, gets your mind off the BS for a little bit. But when you get them little lulls and the time to yourself, those thoughts gravitate back towards you, man, and it can bog you down. But what I truly hope is that Earl Spence really has his stuff together. He's okay, and he really meant what he said, somehow he's holding his head high like a nosebleed, because that's what he's going to need in order to bounce back. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'll say this. Earl Spence has cheated. I'd say he's cheated death twice. That first car accident, I'm still not quite sure what happened with the second car accident, but let's just say the second car accident. And then I'll say he cheated death with Terrence Crawford, because I'm telling y'all, the way he was getting beat and hit, if for some reason they would let that fight continue, I just, no one can say what the big man has planned for us, you know what I'm saying? But to get beat like that, I was watching it thinking he was going to get killed. I'm going to be honest with you. I was shouting and screaming. You can look at my live. I was cussing, man. Stop the effing fight, because I really felt like he was going to get killed. So to me, Earl Spence has cheated death 3 times. And if he gets in here with Terrence Crawford and he can somehow get through that fight, depending on how that goes, he may be looking at cheating death a 4th time. But what I will say is, my boy, at least he looks like he's happy. He's out there on vacation. And I don't think anybody should be frustrated because you betted money on Earl Spence and you lost money, and now you're pissed off that he's out having fun and you're not because you lost money. Shouldn't be gambling, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't get mad at him because he lost. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if you think Earl Spence is a better fighter than Crawford, or if you think Crawford's a better fighter than Spence. The best fighter doesn't win the fight. I always say this. The fighter who boxes the best on that night. And on that night, Terrence Crawford was the fighter who boxed the best. Okay? Simple. There's no argument there. All right? Okay? Now, that being said, before I end this video, the one thing I will point out that I think is the difference between Crawford and Spence. Now, Spence probably had this vacation planned long before the fight. But what I will tell you, on the main differences between Crawford and Spence. Because I think it was like the day after the fight, or the following Monday, Crawford was back in the gym. Care if he was training, working with kids, he was back in the gym. Not Earl Spence. And that, to me, is the biggest discernment between the two. One walks the walk, talks the talk, lives and breathes the lifestyle of a champion boxer. The other one, not so much. And I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is, when it comes to them getting in the ring to fight, if I was somebody who was going to bet my money, I would bet my money on the boxer who walks the walk, talks the talk, and lives and breathes the champion lifestyle. Glad Earl Spence is out enjoying himself. He earned it. Nobody should be mad at him for living his life and having fun. That's what you want to see. That being said, shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Earl Spence looks happy to me, breezing on vacation. All these fools who lost money are pissed off and saying horrible things about him just because he's enjoying his life. Not cool at all. But anyway, we'll see what happens in the next coming months. Earl Spence comes off of this Nevada Athletic Commission ban they have. You know, he got banged up, so he can't get back in the ring immediately. But he should be cleared to fight here in the next few months. Him and Crawford get the rematch on. And we'll see how that goes, especially at what weight it's going to be at. And I'm really looking forward to it, especially now. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. I'm in the breeze.